Hi, everybody. I am sorry, I'm laughing hysterically because I know what we're going to be talking about right now. It just has me in the giggles. so, so this all started because I was working with a client this morning, and we were working on her avoidance of being wrong, and it was so precious. I just love this work. So So let's talk about this for a second. Some of us get stuck in that I'm wrong all the time. Some of us get stuck in I am right all the time. And some of us can be free. I know, quite the spectrum. Anyways, I don't know where you are on the spectrum, but just notice, how often do you have a need to be right or falling into culpability, like I'm at fault, I'm to blame, I'm the one causing this issue, whatever it is you want to admit. Some people play a lot in guilt. That was one of my biggest traits, was guilty for everything. And it all started for me when I was a little child, because I would always get in trouble. So I was known as the troubled daughter. I had an older sister, and I even got in trouble for things she did. It was like, because the belief was that, oh no, she's the good girl. Oh, if that happened, it's got to be your fault. And so it's like, and the other thing that was very interesting is, I think at a very young age, I had a sense of like the truth of divinity, that we are all divine, whether we're being right or we're being wrong. Like there's nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with being wrong, and there's nothing wrong with being right. There's nothing wrong with making mistakes. But what would happen is I fell into conditioning because when I was being accused of doing something wrong, I would just sit there and I would receive it. Not receive it like, oh, I'm so sorry. No, it was just like I just stood there and received it. Now, my sister played it up. And I don't think she did this like intentionally. I think she just felt the energy of it and was like so sorry, that her emotions just started pouring out when she was pointing out something was going on. And I just sort of took it like, oh, okay. Okay, I'll learn. I won't do that again. And it used to upset my mother to no end because I didn't show any kind of contrition or guilt or shame, and she lived in shame. And my heart goes out to her. I'm so sorry. Once I finally realized what she was living in most of her life, it was like all of a sudden I had so much compassion for where she was in her life, and I'm just so grateful to find freedom out of all of this. So, anyways, I had freedom, and then I went driving into the pile of guilt and shame, and played in that for like 40 years. So it's so funny how many of us collapse a mistake with all sorts of consequences and all sorts of negativity and guilt and shame and blame and, like whatever it is. And we do the same thing with being wrong. And so the client that I was working with today, what we realized is that, she had some content or some conditioning, and to remain private, I'm not going to go into it in too much detail, but fundamentally she had conditioning that when she was wrong, she was locked up and abandoned. It was like the consequences were like way off the scale for what she had done. And so clearly she had a huge aversion to being wrong. And as we broke apart wrongness from these consequences and really got that was just a story to collapse those energies, and that they weren't actually cause and effect. It was, yes, this happened and then this happened, but this happened not because she had done something wrong. This happened because of somebody else's perception or fear or triggers, and felt like they had to remove her from the equation. So anyways, We cleared her. She's free. She gets to be wrong. She gets to play in the fun of, hey, I'm wrong. And is that okay? So I invite you to play in I am right and I am wrong, but from a light play game without any meaning to it. Like none of the meaning of I am right and you better listen to me. Like, no, like I'm right here. I'm wrong here. I'm right here. I'm wrong here. And having no attachment to any of it. Because the fundamental fact is we all see this reality through a perception filter. So when you have two people engaged in whatever, a relationship, a meeting, an event, etc., there's always going to be two perspectives present. So how do you judge which is right and which is wrong? They're both perspectives. Neither of them are reality. So right and wrong is just sort of a way to interact with people. It's not about a truth. It's just about this is how I perceive everything. And so when we can be truly free to be right and wrong, to make mistakes and make things happen, guess what? We open up the right to experiment with life. We get to explore life. We get to discover. We get to be curious. And we don't shut it down based on I need to be right or I need to be doing the right things. I need to avoid mistakes. And a second aspect of all of this is apologizing. So I had a boss who used to say to me, don't apologize. And I'm like, to me, I had no energy on apologizing. Because to me, apologizing isn't about me. It's not about creating culpability. It's not about creating blame. What an apology is saying, I hear from your perspective that I hurt you or that I impeded on you in some way. And I want you to know that I'm truly sorry. Now, can you notice in the way I say that, I'm not admitting fault. I'm not admitting blame. I'm not saying I'm responsible for how you're feeling. I'm literally saying, I hear you. I want to acknowledge what I hear you saying. And I want you to know I have compassion and love. And if something I'm doing is affecting you, I'll try not to do it. But if it's going to impede on me and make me limited, I may not do it. We may just have to brainstorm another solution so that you don't feel impeded and I stay free. So we get to play in this incredible world and wonder about everyone else's perspectives. Because do you really think that you perceive reality as it is? For the longest time, I was immersed in that belief. Like, yes, this is how reality is. And I sort of awoken up out of my perceptions and I could see beyond them. And I could see how my perception filter was affecting what I could see and believed. And then I could see what it was to see without that belief system. So I could actually see the two ways of seeing it at the same time. And I was like, oh my God, there is so much going on in life that we have no idea. So if you want to explore reality and you want to explore life and you want to be free, come work with me. I love to help people be free so that they can be in choice for who they are and express the fullness of being that they came here to be. Love you all. Bye for now.